Okay, if you've got some issues with this worksheet, just go through some of the solutions. I was going to do it bit by bit, but running out of time, so let's have a look at the first question, which was find the distance between the 2 points. Okay, well, it was given to you, so we've got the distance, we've been given the 2 coordinates, except we've got 1 missing here, so hopefully the first thing you know that we do is to write out the distance formula. We substitute our information in, pretty simple. This is where some of you went a little bit amok, where I would not expand this one. If I had unknowns in both of these brackets, then I have to expand. But when I've just got this, all good. Minus 3 take 1 is minus 4. When you square that, you get 16. We're going to isolate this, so get rid of the plus 16 by taking. Hopefully you can follow that. And again, this is the other bit that we watch for, is when we square root 64, we have a plus or a minus solution. Some of you were getting minus 33 and minus 17 because you weren't rearranging this nicely. So for those who did that, you put the minus 20, you put 25 over the other side, and you got minus 25. But what you forgot was that this was a minus y here. So what I do is I get rid of this minus y by putting it on the other side. So that becomes positive y, and this plus take 8, so the plus 8 becomes a minus, the take 8 becomes a plus, so once again you get plus or minus 8. Okay, done and dusted. Hopefully that works for you. The next question, is center of a circle with diameter ends. So the first thing I would do is draw a diagram. I've got a circle, I've put the center in, and there we go now. Center, that's another word for midpoint. So that should sort of draw my attention to using the midpoint formula. If it didn't, right, feel free, try using the distance formula. What you will find is you get bamboozled because you've got 2 unknowns. So don't just down tools or go, oh well, that's it. Try something else. Same with some people. I like the fact that you did try the slope, because yes, all of these points would have, so from here to here, here to here, you would have the same slope. Once again, you've got lots of unknowns, so it might, you'll be able to do it, but it becomes quite complex. So, try going for the obvious one. So we put the midpoint in. This is your midpoint, right? Minus 4, 2. And then I've substituted these values in. So this is my x plus 2, is my x1 and x2 divided by 2. Now, for these two things to equal, the x coordinate here must equal this whole x coordinate there. Otherwise, it's just kooky. You can't have, 2, 3 equaling 8, 4. It's just not sensible. So what we've done is I've written that out over here. So minus 4 equals, okay? Some people are getting a little bit carried away. They just ignored the 2, or they thought to get rid of the divide by 2, you divide by 2, but we know that's not right. So to get rid of a divide by 2, we multiply. And get rid of the plus 2, take 2, and so on. Then we do the same with the y values, because the y has to equal this. Okay? Hopefully that's all good. Feel free to pause. You don't have to listen to all of this, or fast forward just to the questions that you have issues with, and please ask if you still don't understand. Okay, the next one, the line passing through, has a slope. Again, key word there is the slope, and I don't think I need to go through that because that one was done very well. Okay, so that's all good. Part 2, find the value of b, given that these points are collinear. Now, with collinear, what we're talking about there is we're saying that they all lie on the same line. Sorry about the flicking back and forth. Hopefully you'll cope. Okay, so if we've got a line like this, and of course it could go the other way, who knows? We're saying we've got a point here, and a point here. Now sometimes when people were drawing this, they put all the points nice and evenly spaced, and then you're thinking that one is the midpoint of the other. Now we're not actually told that one is the midpoint, so don't assume that. Okay, so pick 2 combinations of points. So I've picked the first and the second, and then I went the second and the third. Now some people had the right idea, but unfortunately they went point 1 and 2, and then they did point 2 and 1, and so they got exactly the same answer, and then they went, oh well, what's going on there? So try and make sure you've got 2 different combinations. And now it just becomes an algebra thing. So it's really good that most people knew what to do, but then it's just the fiddly working with the letters. Bamboozled. So here we go. I went 2b take b, 4 take 3. Now for those who went the other way, if you went b take 2b, you would have got minus b. 3 take 4 is minus 1. And once again, negative and negative, you still end up with the same answer. So as long as you are consistent with what you're doing, it's all good. What you can't do is go b take 2b and then do 4 take 3, because then you'll end up with a negative answer altogether. And that is wrong. That's the opposite slope. Let's have a look at this. I have gone 5 take b, take 2b. Okay? Now, where some people, when they went the other way, they were looking at 2b. They said take 5 take b. And you're going, well, yeah, that's all good. It's like, no, that's actually wrong, because you're taking all of this, which ends up making it 2b, take 5, and a negative becomes a plus. So 2b plus b is 3b, take 5, and then downstairs 4 take 8, that's going to be minus 4. Okay, I don't know if you can see, but this is actually the same as this. I've got a positive 4 here, you've got a negative, but if you look at my top line, this is sort of the negative of that. Okay, so again, they're both the same thing. And if you've got this one, the second one, you can still work with that, doing what we have done before. Don't rearrange, don't rub it out or anything, just keep on trucking. So what we then did, what I did, is because they're on the same slope, collinear means they have the same slope, which means they now equal each other. Once again, talking to a lot of you, you would say, oh yeah, they have the same slope, but then you didn't do anything about it. So remember, same in mathematics, we're going to say when we're talking about numbers, it's equals. So actually write it in maths. Say they equal each other, and then we can see here, technically that's over 1, we can now just cross multiply. So 5 take 3b times 1 is that, 4 times b, and so on. Okay. Question 3, done pretty well. Some of you are making a meal of it and making it way too hard, but if that works for you, keep it up. Remember, time is an issue in tests. So we've got this one. When it says it's parallel, what you can actually do is substitute these two values into the original and bang, you'll get your answer. But I'm just doing the same thing over and over and going, okay, first thing, to find the equation of a line, we need the slope and a point. Okay, so if you've forgotten what the question was, we'll just go back here. Okay, it's parallel to this and passes through. So what we're saying is you could just substitute the x in here, the 2 in there, and you'll get a different value here. That will end up being your new equation. But what I like to do is I go, okay, let's get the slope, and then we do the whole doodad of slope and a point. So I rearrange this to get y by itself. Okay, so 4x has gone on the other side, it's minus. Minus 4 is not the slope, it's minus 4 on 5, because remember, it has to be in the form y equals mx plus c, and then we can say that this value in front of the x, that is your slope. So pinged my slope, I've got my point, and now I go into the slope formula. Okay, remember your slope formula is m equals the change in y over the change in x, and that's exactly what I've done. I've put the slope here, I've gone y, take my y value here, so y take 2 becomes plus 2, x take 3, and now we cross multiply. So minus 4 times all of this, minus 4x, minus 4 times negative 3 is plus 12. Some of you got the wrong answer because you didn't times both of them by minus 4. Okay, not a massive disaster, just be aware of that and don't do it in the future. The other thing is, some of you, the question did say put it in general form and y-intercept form. Some didn't read that. Some left it as getting 5y by itself instead of y by itself. So you have to do the whole thing. All right, part B. We've got, it's perpendicular to this. So we can see here that that's got a slope of 2 because it's in the form y equals mx plus c. So because it's got a slope of 2, to get the perpendicular slope, we flip and reverse the sign. Remember, that's 2 over 1. And we then go through and we do the same thing that we just explained in 3a. So I'll leave that for you to have a look at the answers and go through. Part C, it passes through these 2 points. So once again, to find the equation of a line, what two things do you need? You need the slope and a point. So what we're going to do is find the slope first, because you've got points galore. So we found the slope. Can you make sure, when you actually do this, you end up with 12 over minus 10, but always cancel your fraction. So pop it down there. I chose minus 3 over 8 as my point. You could have chosen the other one. You will get exactly the same answer. All right? So you can go through and have a squiz at that. D, it's parallel to the x-axis and passes through that point. Again, if you were stuck, I'd like to see that you've drawn a diagram rather than leaving it blank. So when it says it's parallel to the x-axis, that means it's horizontal. So what we're looking at is we've got a line here that's horizontal, because that's my x-axis. It's horizontal and it's passing through the point 4, 5. Now that means any point that's on this, it has a height of 5. So that means this is the line y equals 5. Some people said c equals 5. Now that's what you're saying there is the y-intercept is 5. Correct, but not what the question is asked for. So remember, always answer the question. Determine the value of k, given that they never intersect. We know that when graphs are parallel, they never intersect, and for graphs to be parallel, they have the same slope. So how do we get the slope of these graphs? Once again, it comes back to y equals mx plus c. So we rearrange each equation and we get it in that form. And so therefore, this is the slope of that one. Be careful here, because when I put the x on the other side, it's minus. Now it's minus all of that. It's not just minus 2k plus 1, it's minus 2k and minus 1. All right? And it's over 2. Some of you just did the top lines. You ignored the denominator. And if you did that, you wouldn't have a quadratic. So we make the slopes equal each other. We cross multiply. So minus 5 times 2 gives me minus 10. K times this. All right, you're following? As soon as I see the k squared, it's a quadratic. So we want to get everything on one side. Now to solve this, some of you might be up with the factorizing, and you could go ahead and do that. That's a topic we're doing next time, so I can explain that a little bit better. For those of you who don't know how to factorize, or it's not a don't know, you just forgot, remember you have your wonderful graphics calculators. So to solve a quadratic, we're going to go down here to the equation. We go enter. We want polynomial. So press F2. See here it says press F2. It's degree 2. And then what you do is you put your coefficients in. So it was a 1k squared. It was a 2k squared, and then minus 10. You pop that in. You can either press F1 to solve or just press enter again. Oh, well that's not right, because they were nice values. What did I stuff up? I can't remember. Boy, my memory is going. Oh, it was 2k squared plus 1. Okay, whoopsies. So we go back here. We're going to change that to 2. We're going to change that to 1. It was minus 10. Okay, so it was 2k squared plus k. Take 10, so that's why it's gone in there. And now when I solve, aha, I get the beautiful values that you would have got if you had factorized. Now, it didn't say to factorize, so feel free to use your calculator. I did have a bit of a frustration with question 5. Axes intercepts. Okay, we know this. This is your 8, your 9 things. So to find your x-intercept, we make y equals 0. To find your y-intercept, you make x equals 0. Now, the question also says, show your working. So can you please, frog in the throat, sorry, make sure you do show your working out. X-intercept, you write it, you make y equals 0. To get rid of divide by 3, you times 3. Remove the minus 1 and so on. This is your point, this one and this one. Some people then decided to write that as 1/5 minus 1/3. Please don't do that. What that is saying is this is minus 1/5 minus 1/3, and that is just a coordinate here. That's not what we want. We want the equation of a line, and you can see that point doesn't even lie on our line. It is also just a sketch. So draw your axes, make sure you label them, make sure you use a ruler. And then 1/5, it doesn't have to be to scale, we just pop it here. As long as you don't put it on the negative side, we're all good. Okay, and same with this. Your y-intercept is minus a third. As long as you don't put that upstairs or you don't put it on the x-axis, that's all good. So you just plop a point, connect. You can see here, you know, I did this beautifully, and then for some reason I put the y2 as down here being negative 2. Bad. All right, now I should actually draw that again, not just do what I've done. But again, time. So hopefully that helps. If it's still an issue, please come and see me and we'll help you out. All right? And now we need to stop.